Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the most rockin' and rollin' podcast on alchemy, 5 elements of the 9 palaces, and so much more on the internet today. That's the Inspired Action Podcast. I'm Jay, spinning your hits today with my host as always, Leta. My coast.
I'm the coast.
From coast to coast. The host from coast to coast,
yes.
Spinning all the top hits. Leta Herman.
Welcome back, Inspired Actioneers. Today we're going to tap into the healing energy and vibrations of music and talk about how you can discover your own musical DJ. And specifically, today is the first in a 5-part series on the 5 elements and music.
So these are the top 5 hits.
Yeah, right.
I feel like the 90s DJs here. Actually, I'm pretty sure we're the only podcast spinning alchemy, the 9 palaces, 5
Right.
elements. So that's why I'm like, we're the best. But not just because you're going to start with wood. I know that, right?
Yes.
So the top hit is number wood.
Right.
Because wood, we like to think we're the best, or at least sometimes we think we're the best because we just need the speed to be first.
Yeah, that's it. And we all love you for that. Woods don't pretend to like to wait.
Actually, not everyone loves wood, but I'm okay with that now.
Yes. I was just saying that woods don't really like to wait. In fact, they kind of let everyone know they hate to wait.
Well, we like to be first. We're very impatient. We don't have to be first. We like to be. And then when we're not, that's when the crank comes on. Cranky pants.
Woods are so impatient that almost all of them admit that when they read a book...
A book? Like, what's a book? Like, I barely remember what that is. No, actually, that's just being a little nostalgic here, right?
Well, a book is this thing we used to walk around with, Jay, and, read before there were computers.
I know we're talking about books and DJs, and next we're going to talk about 8 tracks and cassettes, right?
Again, just like in the last podcast.
Right. I still love books, and recently from our last 100-day alchemy challenge, I became smitten with carrying around a book again. Well, I loved putting it in my backpack every day and taking it with me wherever I would go for like 100 days.
You were smitten.
I was smitten with the written word. Smitten with the written.
There you go. Well, as I was saying, I've noticed that when woods hold a book...
I read it from cover to cover, but I'm not saying which cover.
And which chapter did you read first?
I'm not saying I didn't go backwards to forwards. No, I have been known to go to the end.
Well, I think
not always.
I think the reason they want to read the last chapter first is because they just can't wait to know it all.
Well, wait. Are you calling us a know-it-all, or are you saying we like to know it all? That's different.
Woods are kind of know-it-alls. They love to try and literally know it all.
Well, I have been known to go down the rabbit hole. So if you are a longtime listener of this podcast, yes. I just never know where the bottom is going to go of that rabbit hole. I like to do research. I like to get facts, and I like science. I like fiction. I like everything.
It's like that.
I like science fiction too. As we all know, that's the truth, right?
It's like that time you did a whole episode on the Earth revolving off its axis.
Oh, yes.
Hey, whatever happened to that? We never flew off the Earth.
We're still going round and round.
Still going round and round. All right. Well, back to the point.
I'm sure those scientists are still waiting to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yes.
So technically, we probably know what they know. Nothing.
Yes, nothing. Okay. So the point I was trying to make is that it's much better to put wood first in the podcast. Otherwise, they'll get so impatient they won't stick around until the end. But if they get excited when we do wood first, then they'll feel like they need to know more and more, and they need to know everything. So then they keep listening.
Yes, you have a good percentage of that. I mean, we still could check out and do multitasking, but we might be paying attention. That's because we want to know it all, as you say.
Right. Well, okay, so let's begin with our good wood vibrations.
Yes. Well, I can't believe I'm going to stop you here, but first, before we get to the wood and the good
And the good stuff.
The good stuff. First, let's take a little bit of time here and tell everyone what's going on in the Learning Center.
Okay.
And with us.
We can do that. Well, in our last episode, we announced that we'll be attending an event called Park City Song Summit, and we're going to give a couple presentations there on alchemy in the music industry, but also on the topic of this podcast series, 5-Element Music, and how you can find your own divine DJ. So if you're a musician, songwriter, or just an avid music listener, you can actually attend the Park City Summit yourself. Check out the details at parkcitysongsummit.com, and you can sign up there.
Yeah, we're very excited. But wait, that's not all. What else is going on? I'll jump in and say we're starting a new apprentice group this fall to go with our other groups. And this cohort is going to be a little bit unique, a little bit different. You know, in the past, we usually work with practitioners, acupuncturists, acupressurists, almost exclusively, but not always. But this year, we've had a lot of people apply, and it's like a mix. We're going to call it like a hybrid. And there's different kinds of healers and lay people. So if you're out there listening and you're thinking, I'm not a traditional practitioner, that's okay. This could be the year that you could really jump in and get this attention, that we're going to really put an emphasis on this different kind of program. It's kind of cool. We may never do it this way again. I'm just saying that.
Yes.
And because it's just a really cool group of people. Yeah. And it's not traditional, and we love it.
Yeah, and many listeners have asked us, so what's this apprenticeship about? It's really, it's about embracing and doing your own alchemy. So, you know, for me, my purpose in life has become alchemy, and that's really a big statement for me. I know a lot of people are looking for their purpose in life. So, you know, what does it mean to look for your purpose? And so I believe, having been working with alchemy, it means, what's your evolutionary process? What are you trying to transform yourself into? What are you cultivating for yourself? And how do you fulfill your curriculum of this lifetime? So at the end of your life, you're like, yeah, I did it. So that's what your purpose is. So if you're a practitioner wanting to incorporate alchemy in your practice, we've learned through our years of teaching that it's tremendously helpful to do your own alchemy before doing it with others. So this year-long program dives deep into the first 2 stages of alchemy, really allowing you to know it, experience it at a very deep level. And then we also spend a lot of time on learning each of the ghost points and how they apply to our own lives. It even includes you receiving your own ghost points treatment and your monthly alchemy treatments and an alchemy strategy session with Jay. So it's
That's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff. So it's really a program for anyone who really wants to undergo a significant change in their lives, really clearing away the obstacles and moving into a more light-filled, joy-based lifestyle and state.
And, you know, learning how to be loving and kind to yourself, really working on your self-cultivation. And it's a safe space to not be so afraid to make changes that you might want to have been making for a long time.
A very non-judgmental space,
right,
and very loving and caring. So,
and in October, we also have our yearly retreat in Massachusetts in the beautiful peak leaf peeping season. That's really hard to say, right?
Yeah, good job.
And so people come from all over the world. It's usually like a small group, but it's really in just a really cool time. And it's awesome. And so if you want to come and peek at the leaves while you work on your alchemy, it's going to be peak leaf peeping season. How's that?
I can't believe you could say that.
Can you say that 3 times in a row?
No.
Can you try?
Peak leaf peeping season. Hey, I did it.
That's once.
Peak leaf peeping season, peak leaf peeping season.
Okay, I just from thinking you said peeing, but that's okay. The leaves could pee. But no, if you're interested or it piques your curiosity, please go to alchemylearningcenter.com and check it out, because we have a lot going on.
Yeah, we're adding some more CEU classes and webinars this fall too, so you can check those out as well.
Wow. All right, I think it's time. Let's get going. Let's move it along.
Yeah, let's move on to wood. So,
all right. Before we start, I just want to say the music industry is heavily guarded by copyright and such. We're going to be talking about a lot of songs and artists today, which we'd love to play for you in their entirety, but we cannot. So you're going to have to go find them yourselves. We're going to give you lots of clues and titles, and we're going to try to do a little bit of snippets.
Yeah.
We have our producer on it. He's usually pretty good. But we
can sing them for you.
No.
There's no law against singing them.
Well, there should be. Okay. After this one, our listeners might wish there was a law against us singing them for sure.
Certainly. Maybe there should be a law against out-of-tune singing on a podcast.
But not yet. There is not. But you could be an outlaw, and I will just be out of tune.
Right. Okay.
So we'll do that together. We'll both be out. Probably out of a job if we get in trouble with this podcast.
Okay, so as we explained in Pod 108, all music is vibrational. And we have these 5 types of energies in the universe. Wood, which is a very forward energy, we often describe as a kind of force, like a punch, but not to say that wood people have to punch, but a punch goes out and then it pulls back and retreats before coming out again.
Yeah, not a mean punch, but wood people out there like to maybe punch. And you'd ask, we're maybe looking at you, Will Smith, who is wood in real life, who actually did the wood slap in front of tens of millions of people. It was kind of like a giant punch slap.
Yeah.
Really, it was crazy. I have to imagine it was a last resort.
Yeah. So fighting for wood, Jay, is often the last resort, as you know, they'll punch if they have to.
I mean, the last resort is blowing things up. And that was a blow up for sure. Well, I think a lot of wood people out there will do what's necessary if they feel there's an injustice in the world. And, they can make a mistake or 2 or 3.
Yeah, because wood tends to be a bit impulsive, and that can sometimes get wood people in trouble. So anyway, back to wood energy.
In the music realm.
Right. So wood energy moves forward and back, which we'll be explaining today. But let me just tell you the other 4 elements for context before we dive into wood.
Yes, please. I will help you when I can, but you can take the lead on this.
Great. So fire isn't so much going forward, but up and down energy, like the way a fire appears to be sparkling and going upward at times and then descending to little sparkly coals at other times. So the energy is up and down.
What's a sparkly coal?
A sparkly coal. Well, you know how like
embers?
Embers, they
That
kind of like wink and pop at you.
They wink.
They do. They wink. Of course
Little
they wink.
sparkly, winky coals.
Well, winking is definitely a fire thing.
Okay, I got that. All right, so earth energy, not winky, but more even, kind of in the middle range. So not so many winky peaks and sparkling valleys like fire, but it's softer and definitely not as forward as wood, but it's powerful, and it's a gentle up and down energy.
And then metal energy descends. It goes downwards. So in order to go downward, it may go up for a tiny bit and then it descends much, much more.
Yeah, we'll talk about the dancing too. It's a little bit of dirty dancing for the metal. But water energy, like wood energy, goes forward, but it does so relentlessly. And it can start high up in the mountains or down low at the sea level. It has a lot of variety because even though it's mostly moving forward, it can sometimes take a lot of detours, stop for a while, make a pool, make a pond, build like a little crescendo, build some intensity.
Yeah. Great. Right. Okay. So with those energies in mind, let's apply these energetic vibrations to music.
Yes. And again, a lot of but first here. But first, it's important to note that some music is made by bands, and some band members may have a variety of elemental types. They're not all wood, they're not all water, as you can imagine. So the mix comes from those bands that will be often a mixture of different elemental types. And I will throw in the modern era, how important producers are.
Yes.
A lot of people, they just say, produce this, and then their energy is now in the mix. So when we teach elemental music, we typically try to find music that is maybe 1 or 2 elemental energies so you don't get too confused. But there's just so many different factors.
Yeah.
So we do our best. And, sometimes we get it a little off. But I think, from our perspective of how we understand the 5 elements and how we teach it, we try really hard to get it as close to as possible.
So wood.
Okay, all the woods are like, come on, we're listening, we're waiting. So let's go. Let's get the party started. That's your first clue.
The song. It's
I'm sorry, I ruined it. It's by Pink, but yes. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, it is definitely a wood song, and it's
you wouldn't know it from that. I'm so sorry. We're going to put a snippet in right here.
And it's kind of ironic because woods always get things going. But for some reason, Jay, why do they often come late to parties if they're the ones getting the party started?
Strategic. That way you stand around looking awkward at the beginning. You're always the one leaving early for some kind of thing, for another party or something else, or we're in a hurry. We got to go. Got to have other things planned. It's strategy.
Okay, so listen up, listeners.
Social strategy.
Here's the tips of coolness from a wood You got to listen how to attend a party and be cool.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm just kidding. So what is the music?
Not really, but okay.
Okay.
Ouch.
So what is the music of getting the party started? It's like, let's go.
Let's go.
So we say it's a march. It's marching music. And that means it's emphasizing a heavy downbeat. And mostly it's not syncopated. But the march style gives the song a sense of energy and forward momentum. So it's not just like an old-fashioned march or polka, at least these days. It's music that is really driving you forward. So a lot of rock, some pop, and quite a bit of rap.
Yeah. So what does that mean, Leta? Music that emphasizes the downbeat. Why don't you explain that to our listeners?
It's like the bass drum is hitting every other beat, the first and third beats. And that regular emphasis on that beat just keeps driving the tempo throughout the song. And for comparison, a lot of jazz, funk, and R&B emphasizes the second and the fourth beats and would not have that same woody feel at all.
Right. So emphasizing that downbeat, that energy, that punch that we were talking about, that's the wood energy, right?
Right,
Boom,
exactly.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. And one of the ways you can tell if you're listening to a wood song, especially if you like to dance like me, it's how does it make your body feel? How would you want to dance to it? So if you take wood music, you're almost going to want to start marching, like stepping your feet in place. Obviously, people these days, we don't look like we're marching in a marching band, like a high school marching band, but you might see a wood person dancing to a wood song and stepping in place or even sort of punching the air.
Sure, it looks very angular, and sometimes you see the person's elbows coming out, and the movements are sharp and fast.
Almost like punching the air, where the arms are making these thrusting movements.
Yeah, and I always get the feeling when I'm watching a wood person dance is that they're a little bit serious about it. It's kind of like a sport or an activity. Not always, but usually, unless they're maybe drinking or somehow medicating the situation along. That's all I'm going to say. Not always, but they're not the best dancers. Even though they may love music and they may love to dance, they're just usually not the most enjoyable to watch. That's what I'm going to say.
Or maybe they just feel self-conscious because they have that more angular look to their bodies and maybe they're just laughing at themselves.
I can understand that too. But I don't think wood people are often the best dancers objectively. Yeah. I mean, it's not a beautiful dance movement flow that we maybe would like to see. It's more like that Russian dance where they do the neat, deep knee bends and the the kicking in the arms.
Oh, you mean the Kazachok dance?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Is that what that's called? Oh my God, I did not know what that was called.
I think that's definitely a wood dance, but the deep knee bends is definitely a metal thing. So we could say that dance is a wood metal dance. But because of the vigor and the energy of that dance, it is all wood for sure.
It's like a dancing punch in the face, but in a non-violent way. I don't want people to think wood people are violent, especially if they're dancing. But I would just be look out a little bit.
Remember, wood is the most benevolent of all the elements, and they'll fight to save others who are not able to defend themselves, like puppies.
Or like dancing puppies.
Or dancing puppies.
No, nothing makes a wood person more upset than people hurting dancing puppies.
Oh my God, totally. It would bring them to tears, and then it would motivate them to do something about it and protect the puppy.
Again, not a pretty dance if you're trying to protect puppies while you're dancing.
But we digress again. Okay, so back to the music. So the wood style of dance is very energized, but we wouldn't normally call it beautiful. So sometimes we notice that a lot of singers who are wood try to dance up on stage because they want to be energized on stage. And often they might need a lot of dance training to become good dancers. Evidently, like Madonna, she definitely is wood and she had a ton of dance training.
Yeah, I would say that on the inside, like they feel it and they're trying to express themselves. We also have Lady Gaga and Pink.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying these women are not good dancers.
Right.
But
they probably had professional help to do so.
Yes, they usually have a lot of people surrounding them. I think it's like a distraction. Like, oh, look at them. And they don't look at them. But
yes.
I mean, yeah, it took them time to figure out a dance style that works with their natural body movements.
There you go.
Okay. Which aren't flowy, but more angular and thrusting, like you said. And, I think that they want to have a lot of energy. They want to get people pumped up. They want to get moving. and do some really cool things. I noticed Pink does like the aerials now with the ribbons.
Oh, that's such a great distraction.
Yeah,
huh?
distraction for sure.
So that's a really good point. I can imagine.
Look at Madonna. She's like crawling and on the floor. She gets on the beds.
Yes.
She does like all kinds of like drama kind of things instead of like
the real dance.
Dancing,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I can imagine especially some women singers, because, all of these are women that we're talking about, who are wood, they might wish they could dance a more feminine style since our culture and our patriarchal society has promoted in the past that women should be soft and beautiful. And in that vein, there's a definite sense of male energy to a wood dance because it's so assertive. And our culture associates assertiveness with men, not women.
I know that's true, but look what happened. Our idea of women must be changing, must be kind of
evolving.
And, so a lot of our great female vocalists are all pretty tough cookies, like Madonna, Lady Gaga, Aretha Franklin, and Tina Turner, Florence of the Machine, Pink, Celine Dion, Jennifer Lopez. These are all powerhouses.
Yeah.
Right?
But, and we should mention some men as well, some guys.
We were just watching Eminem.
Yeah.
The singer, not the candy. And Frank Sinatra.
Wow. Right. Putting those two in the same sentence, that's pretty different. But what do they have in common? I mean, it's that wood energy. Now that you mention Eminem, we just have to sample.
The singer, not the candy.
Yes. We just have to sample the beginning of his song, Till I Collapse, because it's literally like a military march. Go left, go left, go left, right, left. So, I think that's an interesting one.
I do think that's a great song, but I think the Eminem, the singer, not the candy, wood anthem song is Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, the lyrics are all wood. It even sounds, again, like almost like a marchy kind of thing.
Yeah, that idea that if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, you'd go for it, right?
Yeah.
One opportunity. Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti.
That is true, Lita. And it's like when I heard play Hamilton.
Yes.
That character, Hamilton, is wood. However, the actor is not wood. But in the play, he's talking about, I'm not going to throw away my shot.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I'ma get a scholarship to King's
Yes.
Boom.
That is such a wood song.
Yeah.
That is like the perfect wood song. But like you said, the actor, though, is not wood. I'd love to hear a wood person sing that song. I'm not going to throw away my shot. Like with that, like, let's
cast Eminem, the singer, not the candy, in there.
Yes. That would be amazing.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I would say it would be interesting for sure.
But let's look at some other genres of wood music. Let's look at classic rock. There's so many classic rock greats. A lot of men like Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones, Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses, the guitarist for AC/DC, Angus Young, and Eddie Van Halen.
All great artists.
Yeah, or some.
You could tell by that power that they have too, right?
Yeah. And if you want like country music, you could look at Johnny Cash or Garth Brooks.
And remember, some of these bands have other bandmates who are not wood. So you mentioned AC/DC. We have a water and a wood there. So this relentlessness mixed with the drive of wood, it's kind of like this water-wood mix. It's different. So we could kind of talk about that in detail if you want. Or Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, all big figures. Big figures. Yeah, big wood.
Run DMC is also a great mix of water and wood, actually, because Daryl, the DMC part of Run DMC, is wood, and Run is actually water. So that is an incredible. When you put those two together, it's like this driving, powerful music. The combination. It's like water and wood. It's ultimate power in the music.
And maybe we'll have a little sample right here.
Here we go. To rock around. That's right. On time is tricky. It's tricky.
Little song there. So obviously these are just a few songs to get you started to thinking about how you listen to wood music. Sometimes we even think a singer is wood, but they might have that producer or that band member or the writer that influences the music from another element. So we kind of feel like those, you can kind of tell they're just off, sometimes not right, but the singer might be wood or they might be water. And then when they get on stage, they really put on the wood persona.
Well, it's just like humans. We say that we have a first element and a second element. So if you think about the music that way, you're going to see that all the songs kind of have a main vibe. That's their first element. And then there might be a second additional like flavor to it. So a wood song, again, it has that heavy downbeat, marching feeling to it. But let's say, like, we were talking about Run DMC and AC/DC. Let's just say it has a relentlessness to it, some like power beneath it that just keeps moving it forward.
And you could go again to the Guns N' Roses. You have the wood, and then you have Axel, which is Axel, and then Slash is water.
Yes.
Or water, even metal, water metal maybe.
Yes,
even.
so Guns N' Roses is a good example. It's that driving force behind it, and that would mean it'd be wood-water music. Whereas if you have a wood band member who's singing, very wood, and there's kind of like a sweetness to it, that would be wood earth. And if it's like boppy, it's a wood song. It's definitely a wood song, but there's some up and down going there, a little bit more like a pop song that's wood, then you might say it's fire. And if it's a wood song that, has some heavy bass funk sound to it, then you might say it's wood metal. So when we start to get much more advanced with this, you almost have to talk about the second element for every song, especially since most songs are played by bands with multiple elemental types. So it's hard to find a pure wood song out there.
I know. I think that, we always talk about different songs and, what we were just talking about.
Well, the Eminem one.
Don't.
Yeah.
Survivor song, right?
Oh,
and
right.
that has the building of the water.
Yes.
So it's not, even though I think that's one of the biggest wood songs.
Yes, that's Eye of the Tiger.
That has that water build to it.
Yes.
So it is really hard to find a pure wood song, you know.
And sometimes the wood, you're looking more at the lyrics, like Alanis Morissette's wood anthem really is.
Yeah, we forgot to mention her.
Yeah, is all I really want. And all I really want is some patience, she says, a way to calm the angry voice.
And all I really want is some patience, a way to calm the angry voice.
Yeah.
And I think every wood person wishes they could be more patient, especially when they feel frustrated. It's like just being able to pause for a minute and rethink before like totally going off on someone.
It's true. It's true. I feel like we go back to the Eye of the Tiger, even though I love Alanis, like amazingly, right?
Right.
It's that Sylvester Stallone, he was wood. The music came in the wood. It was a greatness. It was like the perfect match. I think so that's now in our mind. So
that's a good point because I think wood music is fundamentally motivational on some level.
Right.
And so every time you get that feeling,
rising up, like boom. But
stairs, it's like, you get to the top and you've won.
I mean, I just think that this is for you to start to think about how music is not, it just doesn't show up randomly on the radio, or I guess they don't even have the radio anymore, on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. But yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so I think that's something I just want you to think about, the driving music with the heavy downbeat. You could hear it in all genres if you really listen.
And let's go back to the last podcast episode, Jay, where we talked about your divine DJ, just to remind you, like, as you get to know this wood feel to music, go ahead and shuffle something. Shuffle your Spotify, shuffle your Pandora, whatever you're listening to, and just like, what music is coming up for you? Are you getting a lot of music? What does that mean to you? Are you feeling motivated? Do you need to bring more greatness in your life? Maybe the divine DJ is, spinning those tunes for you for a reason.
Yeah, pick one of those artists or pick a couple of those and make a playlist and see what comes up.
Yeah.
I always think that you have the mystery, like the Florence and the Machine.
The dark days are over, the dark days are done. Can you hear the voices? 'Cause you're like
Okay, like she's wood, but she sings like a metal sometimes, and
She's always singing wood metal.
right, wood metal, and so listen to that, and you'll start to hear. She also has a lot of producers and different people in the group, the machine. Like different players or whatever. So that's you could pick any of them and really kind of see how it kind of plays out. So, anyways, that's our first thing for wood.
And next up is fire.
Fire,
My
Boppy.
favorite.
Bop, bop, walking on sunshine.
Woo-hoo. Walking on sunshine. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And what's your vibe? What's your jam? Go out there, listen to some music.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there. We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at leta@inspiredactionpodcast.com or jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog. Under my feet.
And
when
then the skies crumble. Well, how's the...
we don't know the song, so don't use it.